And semi number 2 is underway. Gatlin in 4, Young in lane 5. Young, the fastest qualifier to the semis. He's your world leader.
All right, this is what it's all about. Let's get right to it and see if you can identify some torque patterns in action. To get things started, I'm going to place my shoulder line, hip line, and midline on the athlete like this. And I'm also going to put up this list again over here to help guide us along. Okay, you'll remember that I said the hip flexors always work alone. So that's the very first thing you're going to want to key in on, and that is which hip or thigh is in flexion. And that's why I have it as item number 1 here in our list. Now, when you look at our runner, can you tell me which one of his hips or thighs is being flexed upward out in front of him? Is it the left one or right? If you said the left one, then you are correct. Now, once you know that, the second thing you need to do is determine its direction. And when I say determine its direction, I am referring to the direction of the same leg where the hip is flexed, which in our example here is his left leg. And if you look at item 2 in our list, can you tell me which direction the left leg always goes? If you said clockwise, then you are correct yet again. And I'm going to draw that torque on him now in yellow to keep with the same color references for these torques as before, where you'll recall everything I drew in yellow was a clockwise torque and everything I drew in red was a counterclockwise torque. And I'm going to put a little key down at the bottom to help remind you of that. All right, so once we know the direction of the hip flexors, step 3 in our table tells us which way everything else is going, which is what direction? If you said the other way, or more specifically, counterclockwise, you are correct once more. And let's go ahead and draw those 4 torques on him now in red. And there is your ultimate running speed equation in action for this sprinter, showing you all of the muscles he is using to produce this torque pattern. Pretty simple, right? Okay, let's now advance the clip a little further to where his arms and legs are switched, such as right about here, and do this again. Step 1 says to identify the hip or thigh that is in flexion. And so, which one is it? If you said the right one, good job. Step 2 says to determine its direction. And which way does the right leg always go? If you said the counterclockwise direction, you are right again. And let's draw that on him now, this time in red. And step 3 says the direction of everything else is going the other way. So which is it? If you said clockwise, then congratulations, and let's draw those 4 torques on him now in yellow. And there is the other ultimate running speed equation in action, showing all of the muscles this sprinter is using to produce this torque pattern. Before moving on to our next athlete, I want to provide you with a quick reminder that these are the 2 and only 2 patterns of torque an athlete can be in when they run. So again, there are only 2 choices and you are looking at them.
Phyllis France is the indoor American record holder in lane 5. That's Hastings to her inside and Whibley to her outside. Natasha Hastings in lane 3, 2-time Olympic gold medalist on the 4x4.
All right, let's see how you do with identifying this athlete's torque pattern. Step 1 says to identify the hip or thigh that is in flexion. And so, which one is it? The left one or the right? If you said the left one, then very good, as you are correct. Now, step number 2 says to determine its direction. And which way does the left leg always go? If you said clockwise, then you are right again, and let's draw that on her now in yellow. And step number 3 says the direction of everything else is going the other way. So which is it? If you said counterclockwise, then you are doing great, and let's draw those 4 torques on her now in red. And here is your ultimate running speed equation in action once more, showing this athlete's torque pattern and all of the muscles she is using to produce it. Now, before moving on to our next athlete, I want to bring up another question I get a lot when people see this ultimate running speed equation, and it has to deal with the glutes and hams, quads, and calves. As a group, these muscles are arguably the strongest in the body, and so some people have a hard time understanding why they still need additional help from the arms and torso to help counter the torque produced by the hip flexors. And the reason is, in order for the glutes and hams, quads, and calves to produce torque, they need to overcome the weight of the entire body to do so, since all of it is resting on the same leg where these muscles are working. And you can see that here, where the athlete is on her right leg, whereas the hip flexors, working alone in the other direction, only have to overcome the weight of the leg where they are acting to produce their own torque, as seen by her left leg that is off the ground. So, it is typically much easier for the hip flexors to thrust harder and faster, thereby producing a much stronger torque than the glutes and hams, quads, and calves, because they have less weight to overcome. But let's not forget, these muscles need exercise too, and if they are very weak, which is the case for a lot of people I speak with, then they will actually be the limiting factor in how fast someone can run. This is why the ultimate running speed equation is so important to see and understand, because it lets you know everything you need to be working on to get faster. For this athlete, I'm going to make things just a bit more challenging for you by not drawing the shoulder line, hip line, and midline on her. And this is because I want you to start relying more on your own ability to see these torque patterns without too much of my help. So again, no lines are being drawn on this athlete. And with that, let's move forward to step 1, which says to identify the hip or thigh that is in flexion. And so, which one is it? The left one or the right? If you said the right one, then you are correct. Now, step 2 says to determine its direction. And which way does the right leg always go? If you said counterclockwise, then good job, because you are right again. And let's draw that on her now in red. And step 3 says the direction of everything else is going the other way. So, which is it? Clockwise or counterclockwise? If you said clockwise, then you are correct once more. And let's draw those 4 torques on her now, this time in yellow. And there is your ultimate running speed equation in action for this long jumper.
Hip number 2 off the line, 3 at the limit, for training body.
All right, so for this image, I am going to once again have you try and figure out the torque patterns for these 2 guys in front with the orange jerseys. However, not only am I not going to place any lines on them, but also I am not going to put up our little 3-step guide either. And the reason why is because, just like I did with the long jumper previously, I want you to rely as much upon yourself as you can to figure out these torque patterns. And if you can do so with minimal help from me, then you will have proven to yourself that you are well on your way to becoming an expert in this as well. So let's get right to it then. What is the first thing you need to do to figure out someone's torque pattern? In other words, when you see these 2 athletes here, for example, what are you keying in on or looking for? If you said the first thing is to identify the hip or thigh inflection, then you are correct. So, since these 2 guys are basically running in step with each other, their torque patterns will be the same. And so, which of their hips or thighs is in flexion? Their left ones or right? If you said their left ones, then you are correct once again. Now, what is the next thing to do once you know which hip is in flexion? If you said to determine its direction, then good job, as that is the right answer. And so, which direction does the left leg always go? If you said clockwise, then you're doing great so far. And let's draw this torque on each of these athletes in yellow. Now, once you know this, what does it tell you about the direction of everything else? If you said it's going the other way, or more specifically, everything else is going in the counterclockwise direction, Then congratulations, I believe you got this figured out. And let's draw those 4 torques on each of these athletes in red. And there is your ultimate running speed equation in action for these 2 athletes, just as I am certain you expected.
Williams already signed that in Wasik. And next time is Williams.
All right, this will be the last athlete whose torque pattern we're going to look at. And for this one, you're going to have to figure it out all by yourself. So I'm not going to help you at all. And the way this is going to work is I will tell you when to pause the video here in just a moment. And when I do, I want you to look at this image. Go through the same 3-step process I've been showing you all along. And once you think you know which torque pattern he's in, then go ahead and continue playing the video to see if you got it right. So those are your instructions. Good luck, and pause the video now. All right, this is the end of speed training session number 2. Now I want to hear from you. I want to know what you think of the ultimate running speed equation and the 2 patterns of torque. I want to know if this is new information for you, if you found it helpful, and if so, how you plan on using it going forward. I would also like to know if you have any specific questions for me that I may not have answered along the way. And if you do, you can leave them in the comment section below or send me an email directly. Also, if you would like to see more videos like this, we would certainly appreciate your support. And the best way you can show it is simply by heading on over to our website and buying one of our speed training programs. Most are available for immediate delivery. They're sure to help improve your speed and sports performance. And best of all, they cost only about $40. So it's a win-win situation for both of us. And if you choose to buy one, then thank you in advance. Okay, that's all I got for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.